Hello, and welcome to Managing Remotely in the New Normal. This is session number 4, and it's great to be back with you. Today we're going to be talking about the M in our acronym here for managing expectations. There was a famous author that had written that the single biggest failure in communication is the assumption that it took place at all. So, communicating, managing expectations in this new virtual reality is incredibly important. So, we'll talk about that today. Without further ado, CCs. I am finding when I'm working with managers across the units in ENT that they're saying, not everybody can be involved anymore in the way that they used to be. If we're going to get work done while virtually distributed and have some quality of life, some work life balance, we need to really think about it before we hit CC on an email. Um, One of the things that we're seeing happen is that people are elongating their work days. Yes, they're not commuting anymore into the office by and large, but now that time seems to get taken up with additional emails and things like that. So, the next thing that I want to say here is, I really want to encourage you to become really good at asking questions. There was a book written a number of years ago by Dorothy Leeds called The Seven Powers of Questions. And the book outlines in a really, really great way just how transformative question asking can be in relationships and especially among teams so that you can create an interactive, participative, and engaged expectation, but also experience for them. Because sometimes people need to be led, and that is why you are a leader. In doing some of the cultural and organizational development work in past organizations in my career, one of the things I have found is that many workplace cultures are either a results oriented or a time in and out culture. In this new normal, you're undoubtedly getting a clear view into the true culture of your team because as leaders we can either be focused on having our people punching the clock, which I would say is arguably a manager behavior, not a leader behavior. um, or you're going to look at the results that your team produces over the course of a day or a week or a month or a quarter. Because the reality is that across the campus, managers and leaders are divided on this. But ultimately, it really comes down to trust. Can you trust that your team consists of autonomous professionals that are good at their jobs and reliable? So that's where some of these focus points here can be to help you in your communication with them at this time. And lastly, I just want to encourage you to think about what your implicit policy might be on things like instant messaging. And I say implicit because maybe you haven't had the chance just yet to say, "Hey, this is the my expectation," or "This is what I'd like to see," and kind of help mold the team around a shared set of norms for how you guys will interact with Slack or Microsoft Teams or WebEx. There's just so many different digital pings and dings that can be happening at this point in time. I'd encourage you to pick what works for your team and then get everybody on the same page with that. In terms of setting expectations each week, quick huddle calls are becoming very important in lieu of, quote unquote, regular meetings. A huddle could be, once a week or every morning of the week. Personally, I have what I have called a 10 at 10 every single morning. And we usually aim for 20 minutes and it goes much longer, but still we're connecting daily, talking about the daily grind, what happened yesterday, what's going on today. And we're setting the tone for that day for ourselves. So there's some of that shared accountability in there that we talked about back in session two. Because really our attention spans are just shorter than they've ever been. And that's not our fault. There are so many distractions. There's a lot going on. So we just want to make sure that we're cognizant of that. And then the last thing that I wanted to share here is that the 25-55 rule, or even 45 would be great. That means you set 30 minutes in the calendar with the expectation that you will adjourn at 25 minutes, and then same goes for a 60-minute calendar request. You end at 45 or 55 minutes in, just so people can have some breathing space before their next call. And we talked about calls before too. Does everything need to be a call? Maybe it doesn't. So how I'll close up our session here is just a little funny bit here from Dilbert. I thought this was comedic, because oftentimes the manager has something in their mind that maybe is lost on the employee just because the communication hasn't yet occurred. So employees generally want to do a good job, and so it's incumbent upon us to communicate. So that is it for this session. I'll see you next time with session number 5, when we'll cover communication. Bye bye for now.